So they held me down. I'm talking about 3 to 4 men rushed me, held me, just brought me back into that shrine. And they tried to open my eyes because the instruction the JuJu priest had given them, and my auntie was there watching, was to hold me down so that whatever substance, oh my goodness. I want to say this right quick. If you're a parent, if you're a mother and you're a father, and you're not praying for your children, and you're not particular about who takes them, who sleeps, who come in the name of auntie, friend, come take them, they go spend time with them, and whenever they come back, you don't ask them specific questions, or you are not constantly praying for them. Hey, wake up from your slumber. The enemy is not playing. If my parents were sensitive enough to know that the person they were giving me to go spend time with was the devil's incarnate himself, they wouldn't have. And she told me that everything that happened, that if I ever mentioned it to my parents, that I was going to be deleted. And so that also made me, my goodness, after that encounter, oh my God, it became a hell. The constant attack. My life, nobody could understand. My siblings can relate with what I am saying. Nobody could fathom, nobody could understand, nobody could place their fingers on what was going on with me. But I was losing my mind at a point. The people thought that I was not okay, but they did not know what was going on with me. Like, I could be playing with other kids like this, with my peer group, and literally in a broad daylight, you will see vicious dogs, Rottweilers come and they will be biting on me, and I'll be screaming and I'll be crying for help, but nobody heard any sound. It was only me that was saying it, amongst others, all because of one auntie who took me in the name of destiny manipulation, trying to see into my future and then trying to manipulate it to her own benefit. Parents, everyone, get your seat, sit down and hear my story. And after now, tell me if you still want to continue to be careless about where your children go to. And when they come back, you want to be careless about not asking them specific questions.
Every day, testimony. Everywhere, testimony. See, the word is working, and I'm so full of praise. And in the morning, testimony. And in the evening, testimony.
Have I greeted you people? From the depth of my heart, I celebrate you. Thank you again. My name is Kate Igodo from the Igodo Family Vlogs right here. Thank you so much for coming to watch our video. Today's video is a different kind of video. Today's video is my goal and my desire and my prayer is that it will wake, even if it's a parent, even if it's one mother at a time or one father at a time, as the case may be, that it will ginger you up, stir you up to always cover your children spiritually and be very, very intentional about where they go to. This happened at the age of 9 to 10, but that singular encounter was a nightmare I carried on for years, until I became a full-blown adult and I encountered Jesus. Only Jesus, only that uncommon mercy, only Jesus who knew what I was going through. Only Jesus, because my parents were not as spiritually, strong, at a time. Only Jesus who had a definite purpose for my life came to my rescue as mercy said no. I remember that at the age of 10, 11, I had this auntie, and she was so fond. She was just so, we were fond of her. We loved her recklessly. She was part of the family. Like closely, in fact, close, real part of the family. And each time she comes around, everybody will, just love on her. She was fond of us. She will buy things for us. And I, in particular, now, even as a child, you can tell right now that I am a lovable person. I've always been like that. I've just been this laid back. You can't be around me and there was just something unique about me. I didn't even know that I was going to be this music minister, multiple award winner by God's grace, someone now who has platform that people listen to, people vibe to, people enjoy. I never knew. This thing happened at the age of 9 to 10. So I remember that she will come around and we will love on her. We were so fond of her. So one of the times she came, she told my parents that she wanted me to come spend some days with her. And you know how it is with kids. Anything to get out of the house. This was auntie trying to give me a treat, quote unquote. I was going to just go to her house and, have time, So my parents obliged. And, she took me. They packed a few of my clothes. She took me and then we went. I went with her. The arrangement was for me to spend a few days with her and then she will bring me back. Again, like I said, I was just this likable child. Like you can just fall in love with me because I was a people's person. So when we got there, we got to her house. I remembered vividly, like yesterday, the following day, she said we were going somewhere. And so she took me and we went there. And as we continued with the journey, I discovered that, in fact, when we dropped and we started taking a walk to where she was taking me to, I discovered that, there was just something unusual about, it was not the typical, other houses that you just go visit. It was just a different, strange environment. And then we continued until we got to this place that looked like a JuJu house. All right, was not a typical home. So we got there, we got inside, we saw this man. Of course, I am also from Africa. So when I see a JuJu priest and I see the environment, I knew something just wasn't right. I didn't know why we were there. I didn't know it was about me. I just thought that, she just came to do her own thing. So I didn't panic at the time, even though I was not just very comfortable with that environment. But again, I didn't panic because, hey, this is my auntie that loves me so much, quote unquote. And so when we got there, I discovered we were all inside at the time. The voodoo priest brought out cowries, and started throwing it on the floor. He would throw it on the floor and talk, throw it on the floor and talk. That video, that thing on 0. Sorry. So they held me. And I remember that I gave up and they poured whatever they wanted to pour out, did all their incantations and whatever. And that marked the beginning of the nightmares and the attacks, the constant attacks. I am telling you, to the point that even at that young age, I just felt like deleting. I felt like just ending it because, again, one is for people to understand what you are going through and to help you find solution. It got to a point, there was a time, one of the attacks, one of the encounters I had, I remember that as a young child, I was playing with my friends, broad daylight. I was playing with my friends. The next thing, I turned and I saw these vicious dogs coming towards me, like, coming to just finish me, to feast on me. They rushed on me and they were biting all over me. And I was screaming and I was crying for help. But guess what? with that noise, I'm talking about broad daylight, with that noise and that screaming and everything, nobody, not one single person saw the dogs. Nobody saw all the biting. They just saw me shouting. And it was really so frustrating because I was seeing things. I was seeing attacks. The one was a snake bite. Nobody saw that snake bite. Nobody saw that snake. Looked for it. Nobody saw it. I was becoming a shadow of myself as a young child. Nobody could understand what was going on with me. My siblings, I remember that my parents came at the time. My mom, they brought priests because we are from a Catholic background, right? They brought a priest, a reverend father, to come and bless, pray in the children's room, because they had told, they kept explaining to them what was going on with me, but again, they could not, because there was no evidence. Nobody could understand what I was going through. And so they will come, they will sprinkle holy water, sprinkle holy water, pray for me, give me the holy water to drink. For some reason, maybe for that night, I will have a good sleep. And then it will continue again, and it was back to back. At a time, I got tired of telling anyone anything, because they did not see it. They did not understand what was going on. I remembered another encounter right in that children's room. Myself and my siblings, we were sleeping. And the next thing I started experiencing, and when that attack is coming, I can sense that presence. I can tell that something evil was about to happen. But again, and see, one of the things they told me, I forgot to tell this. One of the things she told me after that encounter right at the shrine there, she told me that if I ever mentioned it to anyone, that what she did was just to protect me, that she was just being good to me, just to protect me. And that if I ever mentioned it to anyone, that I was going to be deleted. I don't know if I remembered telling you people. So that further shut my mouth. That further made me zip my mouth. I did not tell my parents anything. I said that to say this before I continue with story. If you're a parent, please ask your children. As you see me with my children, you may think I am overdoing, but if you understand my story, you will know how petty. I am very petty. Petty with where they go to, who they go out with, where they sleep, if they even have to sleep, because a sleepover in this house is almost to zero, But again, I am my niece, if you're not praying, if you're not a praying mother, forget all this play we play outside. When I get to my closet, I am a terror. I am a different person, because I know how devilish the devil can be. I know how wicked the wickedness of the enemy can be. And so I do not take anything for granted. When you see me pray for my children, it's a different ball game. Let us not get it twisted. I get up in the middle of the night. Sometimes I just get angry when I remember stories like this, and how you adults can just get up and want to manipulate the destiny of another person. You don't have to come for the enemy. The enemy can come for you. The enemy can come for you, especially when they see the glory or the hand of God, or they look into the future, quote unquote, and they see that there is something bright about you. Your future is bright. I will tell you, eventually, when I confronted her a few years ago as a full-blown adult. Let me continue the story. And so I remember that right in that room, we were all sleeping, and then that presence came. If you know knitting pin, right? Knitting pin that they used to knit sweaters, okay? Very long. I don't know if there's any. Very long, and then has a very sharp edge, right? The tip is very, very sharp. I remember that somebody was using it midnight. Somebody was using it to was using it to press on my skin, my forehead. Yeah. My forehead was trying to give me a mark, and the person kept doing it. And because my skin was not tearing, she kept doing it. I don't know if it was going to be a physical tear or a spiritual tear. This thing, it was the pain of that knitting pin that the person was using that woke me up. And when I woke up, it was still this my auntie. How she got in there, I cannot explain. I do not know. Do you know that she tried it and tried it and tried it and tried it, and when she saw that this thing was not, she had to leave. She left. I woke up in the morning, zip! I did not tell my parents. I did not tell anyone. Again, this brings me to being sensitive in the spirit, because if my parents were spiritually sensitive, apparently I cannot. God may have been giving them signal or trying to show them something. But again, they didn't know. They didn't know. It got to a point where I saw her as my own mother and started having some hatred and resentment towards my own biological mother, who I consider to be my angel. My mom was one of my backbones. If you see who I am today, is because of the harmless. She may not have been spiritual, that spiritually strong Jim Christian at that time, but everything mom knew to do to protect a child. The selflessness, the sacrifice, she's in heaven now. Everything, I'll continue to say it. And so it got to a time I started seeing that lady as my own mother. My siblings, they all know what, if they watch this video, they will know what I'm talking about. I started seeing her as my own mother, and then started having a lot of resentment towards my own biological mother. I will stay like this, broad daylight, like this, like cats could just be biting me or be attacking me and nobody saw this thing. These were things I carried for a long time. I became a shadow of myself. At that age, I was even, because nobody could understand what I was going through, I just felt like, just ending it. But again, God, who is the owner of life, and God who forms us in our mother's womb and had predestined us, had a purpose for my life. And he said, my daughter, you are not going anywhere, even though I did not know my left from my right. So when you see me and I say I am a woman greatly helped by God, you may not understand my story. Let me continue. So these were things I carried, this attack I carried on with this attack. I became a shadow of myself to it. Was it in my dream? Was it physical broad daylight that I will be screaming, I will be shouting, and nobody could see anything? Until this thing lingered on, until I became, of course, was already in high school, right in high school. I lost my dad in high school, and it was there and then I gave my life to Christ. I encountered Jesus. When they say deliverance, Jesus on his own delivered me. Mercy, Jesus on that uncommon mercy, Jesus on his own. When I started calling upon him, because he knew what I was going through. He knew nobody, the world could not fathom. One of my favorite songs in those days, one of my favorite songs when I was going through this, and nobody could understand what I was going through. Sometimes I will sit down and I will be singing, there is no other friend like the lonely Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. No one else could heal all my soul diseases. No, not one. No, not one. Jesus knows all about the struggle. He will guide done. For there's no other friend like the lonely Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. And only Jesus understood what I was going through. And do you know that after I gave my life to Christ, because right in high school there, I saw other girls, I went to a girls' school, all girls' school, and I saw other people having this encounter. I didn't even know what Pentecostal, at the time, like I said, I had a different background. So, I saw young girls serving Jesus and having an encounter with Jesus and, preaching. And, I remember that one of them, and I told her, I said, please, I want you to introduce this Jesus to me. I came, like I said, from a Christian background, but, what I was going through required a supernatural spiritual attention. It required digging into the foundation. It required a higher power. It required a higher power. It required a higher power. And I encountered Jesus. And one of my cry every time was, Jesus, please take this nightmare away from me. Please deliver me. Because mortal man could not understand what I was going through. Mortal man did not see what I was seeing. But I know, Jesus, you can see this. And I cried. And do you know, that thing started reducing gradually. I could pray. I was not that strong, Gingy, but I know that when I cried, when I prayed, he just answers. Like it was just, it became like the only friend I had, became a very close friend. When I pray, like he was just there to just give me that listening ears and to just do my wish. And that was how this whole encounter, died down gradually. I started having my life back. And then recently, few years ago, understanding my authority in Christ, having been delivered and from the shackles of the enemy, having had Jesus break that chain and brought me out from that valley of dirt, I still was curious because this my auntie is still alive. I was curious. I needed to know why she did what she did to me. I wanted to know. And then I confronted her. I eventually confronted her and I told her I needed her to come clean to me. That I already have an idea. And look at me. This is, and I'm close to, this is me. This thing, like I said, happened when I was, between 10 and 11. But again, I just wanted to know so that if there was any other thing I needed to do, any other prayer point or any other thing I needed to break, I know that Jesus had delivered me. But again, I wanted to know for my own knowledge. I wanted to know how to pray for other people. I wanted to know how to cover my children. And this was what she had to say. This video, part 2, is coming up right immediately. Don't worry, I'm not even going to keep you at all, but I am uploading part 2. I just want to just end this one so that I can upload part 2. But part 2 is coming immediately. What she had to say. And then after that, after her confession to me, just to let you know that there are people who are just seated, looking into the future and seeing how to manipulate your destiny. You see a lot of people on the streets, a lot of underground spiritual wickedness had gone through. But if you don't know, you don't know. But if you know, you know. Today, I know. Part 2 coming right immediately. If you're not part of this family yet, please go ahead and join this family. Go ahead and subscribe right now, and please, this video will benefit everyone. I love you, and there is nothing absolutely you can do about it. Don't take the enemy. Don't negotiate with the enemy. Don't negotiate the destiny of your children with the enemy. Don't play with the destiny of your children. Don't negotiate with your life, because the enemy is not playing, and that is why you should not play. And the only way to handle the enemy is not from the physical. Every issues of life is tackled from this place of the spiritual. You take your battle to the spiritual. Your knees. Your knees. Let's start part 2 immediately, when I confronted her and what she had to say.
Every day, testimony. Everywhere, testimony. See, the word is working, and I'm so full of praise. And in the